There we go. All right. Thanks for being on here, everybody. Welcome to Greater Life, Greater Impact. It's a beautiful morning here in sunny California. I've had an amazingly powerfully healing experience here. Um, Today is an interesting day. There's a very somber feeling in the world. For those of you who have been following social media, following what's going on in the world, here we find ourselves on October the 9th, 2023, a day of reflection, a day of fear. There's a lot going on in the world as there's war going on in the Middle East, and many people have died and are dying in horrific and horrendous ways. Oftentimes, when things like this happen, they don't happen very often, but when they do, it causes us to stand in fear a little bit. So I would really, really love to spend our time today talking about and working through some of those fears that come up for you. So for today, I would love it if you could take a minute to take a big, deep breath in and a big, deep, long, slow breath out. Let's just get ourselves balanced a little bit. If you have not done so already, you may want to grab a pencil and a paper because I am going to ask you to write a few things down. Some of you who come to my classes, you know that sometimes we will do this. So if you can't do that right now, then you'll definitely want to come back to the replay and be in a place where you can write a few things down. What part of California? There's a few of us from Roseville, California. Currently, I am in Malibu, California. I've been in LA for a little bit, and then I'm going to be going south. So I'm not sure where that is in relation to you, but that would have been really fun to connect. Okay, so let's go back. I want you to write down on your piece of paper, because we are talking about today, we're talking about and actually doing some transmutation of fear. And we definitely need to learn how to transmute fear, because that's how we become a greater catalyst for making big changes in the world. And a lot of people think just going inside of myself and meditating and focusing on love is not going to change the world. And I would love to squash that belief because I do believe that you as a human being and me as a human being, even though that I'm just one and you're just one person at a time, and also collectively together, we can be the balancing factor that this world needs to transmute fear into faith or love. We absolutely have the power to do that, one person at a time. And it doesn't take every single human on the planet to do that. And we can be that balancing factor for ourselves in our own lives, but we can also be that balancing factor in our communities, in our social circles, in our families, and that ripples out. It really does. So on your piece of paper today, I want you to write down, just start listing out many of the attributes or personality disorders that are going on in you, not disorders, but just things going on in you that are holding you back, that are weighing you down, that you would like to step through and move through in order to become the balancing factor in your life. Could you just start writing down, what holds you back? So as you're writing these things down, I'm going to give you I'll give you a few of mine. Some of mine were, I want to move through hesitation. I want to transmute that energy. I want to transmute the energy of timidity or what were some of the others? A lack of confidence or insecurity. I want to transmute those energies into something that's going to work better for me in this life. So that's going to be a balancing and empowering factor for me. So as you're thinking of words for you, just maybe they could be 1 or 2 word phrases, but come up with the things that you know darn well are holding you back and keeping you stuck and weighing you down and um, preventing you from being the the person that you came here to be. While you're doing that, I'm going to share with you a little story, something that happened to me this past, well, almost a week ago now. I stayed with a friend when I was in Idaho a few days ago, and she she was a catalyst for a beautiful awakening in me on a bigger level than I've had before. I had a really beautiful experience with fear. I've had lots of experiences with fear in my lifetime, and probably you have as well. None of us is strangers to that energy. And one of the things that I really started to reflect on this week as I pondered on the experience I had with her was that fear can actually become our greatest ally, our deepest, our dearest friend. Fear can be a catalyst for you learning about what you're made of and who you really are and who you aren't. So in this experience, my friend, she is a life coach. She's a coach, and she helps people tap into the power and the strength and the wisdom inside of themselves by learning how to overcome and by going on adventures and by helping them to face their fears. This woman is a powerful woman. I'm going to bring her on at the end of this month, and we are going to talk a little bit more about fear and what she does for a living in regards to hosting these retreats, these powerful adventures that people can go on in order to have deeper levels of self-discovery, we'll put it that way, and also face their fears. And I think one of the most beautiful ways to face your fear is to do something that you don't think you can do and to step into that. And so what she helped facilitate for me was something called, well, I don't know what she calls it, but I basically broke an arrow, a wooden dowel arrow with the tip on the end, with my neck. I did not know that was humanly possible. I did not know that someone could go through something like that and live to tell about it. And so I had never seen it done before. I didn't know it was possible, but she she talked me into having this experience with her, and she's facilitated many of these before. She knew what she was doing, but she guided me into an experience where she took this wooden dowel arrow with feathers on one end and a blunt tip on the other end. And then there was point to it. But anyways, I had to write on the tip end of the arrow all of the things that I was fearing, the trepidation, the insecurities, the things that I really wanted to move through and let go of and transmute. Some of them were in fact, the interesting thing is she was looking through her closet in her house, and she says, I think I've facilitated many of these experiences before, and I know how to do it. And I think I have one arrow left. She had one in her house. So she wasn't able to demonstrate for me, but she had this one. And she's like, you're going to face your fears today. And interestingly enough, she handed me the arrow, and it said, conquer your fears. Somebody had already written on it, and we talked about that, and I thought that was really interesting that was already on there. Anyway, I wrote my things that I wanted to conquer, or that not necessarily conquer, but transmute or evolve through. Some of them were hesitancy. I have a tendency to, even when I know that I'm supposed to step forward into something, I will hesitate and hesitate and hesitate. And I don't know why I do that. Probably because there's fear. Lack of confidence, lack of clarity, insecurity. What were some of the others? Gosh, I'm trying to think what they were now. I should have written them down. But I wrote mine down. I would love for you to take some time to write down what's holding you back. What would you put on the tip end of that arrow, what do you want to break free from? What would you like to walk through and evolve out of and overcome? So as you're writing those down, I'm going to continue on with my story. So on the feather end of the arrow, I was to write down what are the things, the attributes, um, the inner strength. What is the stuff that I want to have happen or evolve or step into on the other end of those fears and insecurities and faults and failings? What would I love to evolve into? So some of the things that I wrote on the feather end of my arrow were, I would like to develop more confidence, more clarity, more wisdom, more courage to step into the unknown, to step off the edges of the cliffs that are in my life. And we all have them. We all are going to be faced with an opportunity to step onto the edge of the cliff, and it looks very, very far down, but you know darn well that it's the only way you're going to ever fly and be free and rise and evolve, right? But it's scary as hell to stand there on the edge of the cliff. I used to tell my clients this, and I don't say it anymore, but I used to say, if you don't like the feeling of standing next to the edge of the cliff and looking over it, then go stand somewhere else. But I don't say that anymore. I now say, then take the dang leap. Take the leap. Take the leap of faith and step into your fear and see what you're made of and see that you really can fly. So once we went through that exercise, I wrote down my fears, my insecurities, my faults and my failings, all of those things that I was most scared of. And then I wrote down the things that I wanted to transmute and step into. And then she had me place the tip of the arrow right here between my two collarbones, right here in the little divot in my neck. And if you like place your finger in there, press in, it's pretty tender. It's very fleshy. It's kind of soft. It's right where your windpipe is. It's a very vulnerable place, right? Imagine placing the tip of an arrow right there into the little divot of your neck. And that's what she had me do. And she stood on the other end and pressed against that arrow. She had a glove on, pressed into that arrow to create some resistance there. And then said, now step into it. Step into it. Walk into your fears. And I was like, what the heck? I leaned into it and immediately was like, ow, that hurts. And she's like, I know. That's what fear does. It hurts. It hurts like hell. It's hard. It's terrifying. And I was watching, like we videoed it, watching myself. I was watching my stance on the video, and I was leaning back, leaning away. She was kind of leaning in a little bit. And she's like, no, you need to lean in. Step into it. Just step right on through. Step right on through and break the arrow. And I couldn't for the life of me conceive of how in the world that was even humanly possible without it piercing through my very body. Casey says, I would love to see your video. Yeah, I'll check with Jennifer and see if that's okay. But anyway, she just kept encouraging me to step in. And I would lean in and feel the pain. And I would say, I don't trust my body. I don't trust the process. I don't trust. And then she said, you don't trust you. You don't trust yourself. You have the power to do this. You know you can do it. And here's a woman who's done it many times before. She's seen hundreds of other people do it before. I don't even know that I can do it. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know if I can do it. I'm just standing there on the other side of fear thinking, I'm going to die if I do this. This is so counterintuitive. It's going to pierce right through me. And anyways, the fear was so overwhelming. I cried and cried and cried and waited and hesitated. And the more I waited and hesitated and leaned and cried, the more it hurt, the more I had pain right in here. And then I almost stepped in and then and took a step back because it hurt so bad. And she's like, see what we do? See what we do? We lean in and then we pull away. And I did that for about 15 minutes. I held myself in that place of pain and fear for 15 minutes. And then she encouraged me and she talked me through it and helped me to step into it. And I stepped into it and the arrow broke. And as the arrow broke, my fear broke. And I literally fell into her arms. And she just held me. Wow. I didn't realize this was still so deep. But that's what fear does. But she just held me for a long time, and I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and surrendered. I had no idea I was capable of doing something like that. I had no idea. Fear can be our greatest ally. Casey says you can do hard things. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm crying with you. No one look at me. Yeah, it's a powerful experience to have to face some fear, to have to be put in the throes of fear. And what it does, whether you've fallen off the edge of a cliff, fallen from grace, stepped into something that's been the hardest thing that you've ever had to do, or just watched the news and looked at all the fear that's being perpetuated on the planet, people dying, that's real. So what happens when you really face your fear and transmute your fear? You step into power. You step into surrender. You step into yourself. I can't think of any other more profound way to step into yourself than to actually face the fears head on, become their best friend, and your fears become your best friend. Because if you think about it, who are you on the other side? Who are you on the other side of the broken arrow where you do something? I mean, the interesting thing that happened after we talked it through, when I was done, we came back and stood in front of the camera and talked about it. She said, what was the worst part of that for you? And I said, clearly standing there being tormented by my own fear. And here she is on the other side of my fear, encouraging me and beckoning me and telling me to just move through it, just step in. The stepping in part was the end of the torment. That was what ended it. The suffering was where I was standing with the tip of the arrow in my neck, wondering if I was going to die, and spending all that energy and all that time in fear. But when I just took the dang step, it broke the arrow and moved me through it. And I did step through it. And that's what we have to do sometimes to conquer what we face. We have to sometimes step into hard things by just stepping into it. And often we find that that's the easy part, is coming through the corridor. The hard part is standing there, leaning into the pain and not fully stepping in. So hopefully you have your list of the things that are holding you back, the fears that are keeping you stuck, the things that you're leaning into, and it's just creating more torment and pain and terror and suffering. What do you need to step through? What do you need to actually do in order to take some action to face your fears and to be with your fear? Your fear will teach you so much about you that you never knew. And you'll never know who you are on the other side of that until you step in. And the hardest part is standing there waiting to step in. So today, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to enjoy a beautiful meditation experience. I've got some comments. Hold on. I would love to see your video. I'll think about that. I need to check with my friend and see if she's open to sharing that. Okay. People having tears. Awesome. So let's get into this then. Hold on. Let me just adjust my camera. Let's get into this. I really want you to take some deep breaths. Let's get into our bodies. What we find is when we're faced with the fears, we've climbed the big mountain, we're standing on the edge of the cliff, and now all that's left after climbing the big mountain, standing on the edge of the cliff, what's left is to jump. And we wait and we stand in terror and we hesitate and we think about all the reasons how we could get out of it or how we could cheat our way through it. And there is no other way through it but through it. So I want you to take a big, deep breath as you look at the fears that you wrote down on your paper. Just breathe into that. Drop your shoulders. Let's get into our bodies now. The whole key for overcoming those feelings in your body is to get comfortable, to get relaxed, to surrender the tension. Even if you were flailing down a river, drowning, the only way really out is to put up your feet and relax into it and let the river carry you. So can you just kind of relax your body a little bit and just let this river of fear carry you to the other side of you? I want you to relax your shoulders and your face. On the inhale, just take a nice big drink of oxygen. And on the exhale, could you drop your shoulders? Relax your face. Take some deep breaths and let go. Surrender is all about letting go of tension, letting go of the story, letting go of the walls of resistance. Take those deep breaths and just let go, let go, let go of those feelings, the hesitancy, the insecurity, the lack of confidence. Feel that tension in your body and just soften the tension on the exhale. Feel the tension leaving. In through your nose, out through your mouth, and picture yourself stepping into that arrow. Even though you know there's pain initially, when you step through, all there's left is power. Feel that tension leave your body on the exhale. Drop your shoulders. Feel yourself letting go. Letting go. Use that exhale. Really use it as a tool for letting go, for surrendering, for softening. Where is the tension coming up in you when you think about what are you hesitating on? What are you waiting for? Become aware of your body. It's all about becoming more present. The presence within your body, being aware and conscious, aware of the tension, aware of the resistance. That's what it's all about. When you become aware of those things, then you can actively choose to surrender, to soften, and then power through what you know you have to power through. So feel your body breathe into that and feel your body let go. Take some good, strong, deep breaths. Keep going. And just feel that you are right where you're supposed to be in this fear, standing on the edge of your cliff. What is your cliff? What is the mountain you've climbed to get to the edge of this cliff? Feel that you're right where you're supposed to be, perfectly placed. And you're standing right in the place where you're supposed to stand. And the fear is supposed to be there. And as you breathe out, watch the tension just leave. Go into your center. Letting go of worry and stress. Surrendering to the I am. Surrendering to your higher self. So as you take that big, deep breath in, hold. Breathe out and let go. Drop your shoulders. I really want you to take conscious breath. Here's one way that you can take more conscious breath. As you inhale, let your belly stick out. Let's just pretend you're breathing into your belly like it's a balloon. Let your belly hang out on the inhale. Fill up your lungs, fill up your belly. On the exhale, let your belly press back in against your spine and release all that oxygen. Breathing into the abdomen. On the exhale, drop your shoulders and press your belly button in towards your spine. The inhale is a nourishing breath. So inhale, nourish. Breathe in everything that you need that you didn't get. And then the exhale is about letting go. It's about releasing. It's about letting go of stories. It's about letting go of worry, tension, fear, resistance. The stories that I'm not enough, I'm not safe, I can't do it. Do you trust your body? Do you trust yourself? Do you trust that you're more powerful, more strong than any edge of any cliff or any arrow pierced at your neck? Do you trust? Do you trust yourself? And if you don't, let go of that story as you breathe out. The next phase of conscious breathing that I really want you to engage in is let's how do I word this? Let's just start moving energy. So as you breathe in, I want you to notice the energies that move up you from the bottoms of your feet and out the top of your head, but also down you at the same time, like two elevators passing. One's going up, one's going down. So breathe in, breathe out. Feel that energy like a pump, pumping vital life force through your body on the inhale and on the exhale. Breathing in, it goes up and down. Breathing out, it goes up and down. Drop your shoulders a little more. Just notice the movement going up you and down you. Like two elevators, one going up, one going down. Breathing into the space above your head and also breathing into and out of the space below your feet. Letting go, letting go, letting go. And the third element, I guess, of conscious breathing is we want to look for expansion. We want to look for a feeling of being bigger than what you really are. Could you go into your heart? Just take your awareness and go into your heart for a moment. And allow that energy inside of the center of your heart to grow and shine and expand, just like the sun up in the universe expands and pierces the darkness. Could you, like you stepped into the center of the sun and the sun stepped into the center of you, could you expand with the breath? Breathing in, breathing out, let go, expand out. Let go and expand out. Fill up the room that you're in. Could the energy from your heart touch the floor and the walls and the ceiling and the corners? Breathe into that. Stepping into the center of the sun, letting the sun step into you. That's your I am. That's your power. I want you to be relaxed, but also alert as you go through this conscious breathing right now. Be relaxed, but also alert. Drop your shoulders, relax your face. See if you can find tension in your back, in your gut, in your abdomen. Invite all of those little tight muscles to release. Be present, be meditative. And I'm going to give you a moment right now as you're relaxing into this experience. I'm going to give you a moment to just go into prayer, communicating with the divine, talking to God, whatever that looks like for you. Could you open your heart and expand it out? Just be in the presence of God. Notice that the inner part of your heart is divine, golden white light, pure light expanding out in every direction above you, below you. And not only are you connecting to the source of that light, which is God, but you're connecting to yourself, your highest self, your I am. And could you just give some gratitude for that feeling? Could you just step into the gratitude of source and self and God and you? Being in the same space together. We call this the indwelling of God. That's where you connect. That's where you find the connection, the deep, profound, intimate connection with God, with heaven. Focus on the center of your being. You can go into your heart and just breathe and soften and surrender. Whatever troubles that you see in the world right now, and more specifically, war that just broke out, that's scary. It's terrifying to think of the ripple out effects of what that could bring to our world and to everyone. It affects everyone. At any time one human life is taken, that ripples out and affects the whole universe. The whole world is affected. And breathe into that. I want you to know that you, when you're operating in your I am, you become the balance that the world needs right now. You do. You want to change the world? You want to save the world? You want to heal the world? You want to end this madness? This is how you do it. And we think, I'm just one person. What can I do? Oh, a lot. You, as a divine I am presence, become the balance that the world needs right now. And you become the balance that you need right now. Can you breathe into that balance? Can you breathe into your center? Can you breathe into your soul? And can you just express some gratitude in there? Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for the power that dwells in me to make a change. Everywhere you go, in and out of problems, in and out of bliss, You are that balancing factor right now, in this present moment now. And guess what? When you live in that present moment now, in your center, you become the invitation to everybody else on the planet to do the same. In that place of center, we're not going to judge anything. We're not going to expect anything. There's no need for approval. There's no need for recognition. There's no need for applause or praise or validation. There's no need for any of that because you know who you are. There's no need for attention because you know who you are in that space. We know who we are in the center of our being. You don't need social status. You don't need money. You don't need anything outside of you to define you. So I want you to really breathe into that some more. And can you breathe into that even more? And can you come back into the original, authentic, true self by going into your center? In here is stillness. Do you notice it? Can you feel it? Can you hear the stillness inside you? Breathe in and out. In this space, in your center, you cannot be shaken. You cannot be harmed. Nothing can be taken from you. And you can't lose anything. This center, the inner part of you, this is the divine self. You think you're your body? When you look in your mirror and you look at yourself in the mirror, you think you're that? Do you think you are that? Do you think you're this clump of earth and water, elements and water? You're so much more than that. So much more than that. You're not your name. You're not your persona. You're not your identity, or at least what you think your identity is. That part of you is temporary. That part of you is going to pass away. And what will be left is the center, the divine I am, the divine wisdom, the divine intelligence, the stillness that you feel right now, the peace that you feel when you go within and you breathe and you surrender all the noise and the chaos and the stories and the doubt and the fear. You surrender that stuff and you let go of all that stuff and you let go of the mind games that you play with yourself. When you let all of that go, you're infinite. You're eternal. You're conscious. You're present. You're aware. You're love. You're peace. Go into the stillness right now as you breathe into your body. Drop your shoulders on the exhale. Go into the divine, infinite I am. That part of you can change the world. Even though you're one, we're all one. One life ripples out and affects the whole unit. One life. Every time you go into center and tap into your divine, internal, eternal identity, you affect the whole world. You affect the entire whole. You affect the one. Even though you're one in more ways than one. We are all one. Step into that oneness for a minute. I want you to step into the infinite, eternal identity, or not identity, but presence, the divine presence of all the people on this planet right now. The ones who are in fear, the ones who think they're in control, the ones who think that they're here to manipulate and harm, and also the ones who are being supposedly harmed Step into the oneness of it all. And can you go into peace and stillness? And can you recognize that in that oneness, nothing can be shaken or taken? Nothing. What could possibly threaten infinite, eternal you or the one? This is your foundation. This is the cornerstone that Christ talked about when he talked about stepping into the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is within. It's not a destination. It's not a place that we're going to build with our hands. It's a place that we're going to build with our conscious awareness. So I want you to go into the center and feel the stillness inside. Feel the power inside. Feel the infinite, eternal you that is you, the real you that is you, that stabilizing force that is you. Inhale. On the inhale, I want you to breathe in that holy, divine spirit that is you. On the exhale, I want you to plant your feet firmly in your sovereignty, in the kingdom of heaven. God's kingdom on earth is within. Total integrity of your soul comes from this space in your center. That's where your genuine, true, authentic self lives. That's where you are, and nothing can shake you in there. So from this center, then you become more wise, more powerful. You can see through deception. You can see around corners. You can read between lines. You can tell where is the truth in the muddied waters of everything. Because everything on the planet right now, I guarantee you, is muddy. Everything. So how can you know? How can you discern? How can you tell? It's by going into center. That's where you can read between the lines. That's where you can really find true, authentic truth. Not just truth, but intelligence. That's where you see everything. That's where you know it. That's where knowing happens. You know that you know when something resonates with your soul and it rings true to you. You know that. Let's step into that more and more. Without judgment, don't judge yourself in it. I want you to just step into the discernment. You've chosen to come to this earth at this time, at such a time as this, to be on the planet when all this is unfolding. You chose to be here at this time and in this place for this reason, which is to bring the kingdom of heaven to the earth. That happens within. And it happens with you. That's how you change the world. That's how you change your life. You know, many people talk about the end times or the end of days or, you know, the prophetic things that people have seen that are playing out on this planet. We talk about the end times. There is no end to the infinite. Nothing is ending except for your stories, your limitations, your unbelief, because time isn't real, right? We talk about the end times or the end of days or the end of the world. There's no end. Time isn't real. It's not linear. It's spherical. It's one great whole. How could there possibly be any end to something that's eternal? There is no end time to infinite eternity. What is the end times is about the ending of problems that you've created for yourself. That's the end times. ending the ego's perception and the ego's persona and letting that come to an end finally. What stories are you going to allow to come to an end? What places in your life where in your life have you created problems for yourself? Hesitancy, where you don't allow yourself to step into the fear and step into the unknown and break the arrow and come out on the other end of that a completely new and changed person. When are you going to stop the crazy, the chaos, the pain, the suffering, the hesitating? That's what the end times are all about, is you as an individual sovereign being choosing to put an end to that stuff, because that's not really real. What stories are you going to let go of? Are you going to stop watching the news so that you can be more present in your body and be a balancing, stabilizing force for good? That actually has power to make a difference and to make a change, not setting off bombs and shooting guns, but actually going within and being present. We are eternal, infinite beings. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear for any of us. You witness someone dying on the planet, there's nothing to fear. We're all going through change and cycles and evolution and advancement. We're learning and growing through experience. So as you step into your center, then are you willing to step into that center and feel the divine essence, the divine presence within you, and then step out into the world with that? Are you here to make a difference? Are you here to make an impact? Are you going to make a difference? Are you going to make an impact? Well, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's where it comes from. Okay. Everywhere you go, learn to be the witness. Learn to be the witness of your pain, your problems, your suffering, your story, and the story that you tell yourself. Where's the lack? Where's the limitation? Where's the hesitation? Where's the insecurity? And why is that there? And what am I telling myself? And am I willing to end this? Am I willing to let go of those stories and just be the observer of my life? The silent, profound, powerful, eternal, infinite observer, without judging, without having fixed mental positions about it, and clinging to those fixed mental positions to the degree that you have to fight somebody else or convince somebody. You don't convince anybody of anything. Just be. Be the example. Be that balancing, stabilizing force. More people will change. They'll be impacted. They'll be influenced. They'll have great awakenings themselves when you do that, when you model that. And you don't need recognition. You don't need applause. You don't need praise to know who you are. You already know who you are. That inner stillness that we stepped into, that inner peace, that's who you are. It's a feeling. Casey says our suffering is from trauma. Oh, whoops, I just lost it. Hold on. Whether that be trauma from this lifetime, another generation or of another generation. I can't read because I don't have my glasses on. We have to be willing to face and go through the shadow work to heal our current fears and triggers. Whoa, and now my eye is twitching, which usually means information is coming through and I'm getting a message. Woo, powerful, powerful messages coming through. What are the messages for you? What's coming through for you as you go into your center? As you drop your shoulders and just surrender all of the tension, all of the resistance, and all of the fear, and you just go into the unknown. It's okay. It's okay to be in the unknown. Your brain doesn't have to figure everything out. It doesn't always have to know ahead of time where you're going. Okay. When you choose to step into this higher self, this higher awareness of yourself, you become more magnetic, more attractive. Casey says, it just hit me. Heal. I hear it. I see it. And I'm being pushed to say it. Heal. Yeah, Casey, I would love to know more about what does that word mean to you? What does healing look like to you? Who are you on the other side of your fear and on the other side of your healing? Who are you? Write that down. Get a glimpse of it. Breathe into that. Step into that. Fearlessly step into that. Even though there's hesitation and fear, that's might be painful. That's the most painful part of our progression, is the hesitating, is the standing on the edge of the cliff, looking down over the edge in terror. That's the worst part. But once you take the leap and jump and are flying, then you're like, why did I stand on the edge of that cliff for so dang long? You know, in this world that we live in, we don't know what true attraction is. We've been attracted to lies and manipulation and superficiality and the stories that aren't even real. So we don't even know what's real in this world. What is real? You. You are real. The divine I am, infinite presence within you, that's what's real. That's what you can trust. That's what's guiding you to your greatest accomplishments, your greatest bliss, your greatest experiences, your greatest triumphs and overcoming. That you that you tapped into today in your center, in the stillness of you, that's what's real. None of the rest of it, the stories, I watch the news and I think, we're only seeing on the news what they want us to see. We're seeing what they want us to believe. That's not real. That's not the real story. It's not the real truth. What's the real truth? It's what's going on inside of you at the deepest, most authentic level. But so many people on the earth right now are so unconscious. They're not present. They're not tapped into what's true. They're not really going inside and being present and aware of what their body's telling them. They're just kind of being jerked around by this ideology or that ideology, or this fixed mental position or that fixed mental position. And they're watching stories unfold that aren't necessarily even true either. They're zombies, right? As Casey said. And, we've all been zombies. We've all been unconscious and unaware. I've hurt people in my life, my own family members before, by being unaware and unconscious and scared and afraid. We've all done it. But this is a time of change on the earth. These really are the end times, but it's not what we think. It's not about catastrophe. And I mean, it can be. If you want that to be your reality, you definitely can find that. But that doesn't have to be reality. The end times can really be about the transformation of you, ending and putting down or putting to the end the old stories, the old fears, the old problems, the old limitations, the old um, brainwashing. So as you breathe in, I want you to say, I really, really want to invite you to feel your divine I am presence, the stillness of you. You can close your eyes, breathe in deep, drink it in. Just inhale the I am into every cell. Breathe it into your bones. Breathe it into your heart. Breathe it into your organs. Breathe it into your blood. Take it in really deep. On the exhale, let go. Let go of all the gunk, the stories, the ego. Let go, let go, let go. Just let it go. And keep letting that go. Keep letting it go. And let it go some more. So as you breathe in, I want you to just say inside of yourself, I am, and feel the divine I am presence within you. Feel it's not tangible. It's not even necessarily visible. It's not something you could even define with any language. It's a feeling, it's a knowing, it's a presence, it's an essence. I want you to tap into that. Go into the stillness of it. I am. On the exhale, let go. Let go some more, and even more than that. And as you breathe into the stillness, I'm going to give you just a handful of affirmations, maybe, that you could breathe in. The first one is I am. I am peace. I am light. I am truth. I am safe. I am whole. Drop your shoulders down. Go deep into your heart, deep into your center. Light up the entire center of you as if it is the sun, and just shine until your beingness fills up the universe. I am love, given freely. You know, the sun doesn't withhold its light because it doesn't like you. It just shines. Continue to focus on, be in, allow yourself to feel the beingness within your center. Just be. Go into the stillness. What does the divine say to you in there? What does the divine say to you in there? Who are you in there? Now, I want you to put yourself in a place of fear. What do you fear stepping into the most? What do you fear stepping into the most? Imagine yourself, either you could do the arrow thing where your fears are at the tip and the things you want to conquer, the things you want to step into are at the feather end. You can put that into your neck and step into the fear of feeling that arrow pierce right through your windpipe. How scary is that, to step in and lean into the pain? Lean into the pain until that arrow breaks under pressure, under the pressure of your power. Step onto the edge of the cliff and lean and look over the edge and feel it. Feel the fear. And then jump. Walk into that arrow. Break it. Breathe into that. Do it. Just do it. Take that leap. Take that leap into the unknown, but into the where you're going. Take that leap into where you're going. Toby Lynn says, I am a beloved child of God with a celestial heritage that desires to be acknowledged and accepted. The ending of our mortal story and returning to our celestial heritage, the truth of who I am. Celestial, yes. To me, celestial is infinite, it's eternal, it's powerful, it's never ending. It's the part of you that's the same yesterday, today, and forever, that cannot be destroyed, it can't die, it can't have anything taken from it, and it can't lose anything. And so when you tap into that eternal essence that is you, that is the celestial, that's where the celestial kingdom is. It's you. It's not a place. It's not a destination of, hey, I checked all these boxes and I qualify now to be a celestial person. No, it isn't that. You already are. You already are. Who are you on the other side of your fear and pain and torment and suffering? Who are you on the other side of that? I'm going to read to you as we come through the end of this powerful stepping in today. I'm going to read to you a poem written by Lars Muhl, M-U-H-L. I highly recommend him. He calls himself a Christian mystic. Got a lot of wisdom to share. But he writes songs, he writes poetry, and this poem, I think, is a perfect summary of today. So go ahead. I really want you to, eyes open or closed. I think closed is probably more effective, but go within. Breathe into that deeply and profoundly. Let go on the exhale. There's a light that shines forever, hidden deep within our hearts. And every breath that we take is sacred. Feel its presence in this now. Because there's a song that sounds forever, all the way through space and time. Feel it falling and hear it calling from your heart right into mine. Can you expand your beingness out to the degree that you envelop the entire earth and every living being on this earth? Can you allow that to envelop you? Can you allow it to envelop the world? Can you allow it to change the world? I think you can. Okay. Let me just see. I don't have a clock on here, so I just need to quickly. Oh, we're right at the top of the hour. It's about 6 minutes after, but I really would love to. I want to open it up. If anybody wants to share anything about today, you could share something about today, or if you want to share, we're coming to the end of this year where we've talked about sovereignty the whole year. What has your personal journey of sovereignty done for you? How has it changed you? How has it shaped you? I want you to kind of ponder a little bit on this because I would love to get your feedback. I think it's really important that we notice and recognize how we're different as we have taken the time this year, all year. And if you haven't watched the replays of our sovereignty series all year this year, go back and watch and listen and step into the different principles of sovereignty that we've talked about so far and the experiences that we've had in our sovereignty. I'm walking this walk right along with all y'all. I have more fear than you even know. More fear than I even knew. But I'm not going to allow that to define me anymore. I'm not going to allow that to tell me what to do and to boss me around. That's not who I am. I'm not defined by my fear. and neither are you. So if you, those of you who are thinking of what they want to share, you could share about today's experience. You could share about this year's experience, standing in your sovereignty. If you're bold enough and brave enough, I would love for you to share. What has your experience been? How has it changed your life? And what have you gotten out of it so far?
Janet,
Yes, go ahead, Toby Lynn.
it's been very interesting as my heart is touched because you have helped me in so many ways to go from fear into my sovereign covenant space where I am aligned with my truth, with my celestial heritage of who I am, that is not this worldly person of flesh and bones. It's the internal celestial e- identity of who I am, that as the world goes through all this chaotic stuff,
Yeah.
and I see people going, I don't know where to find my foundation. You helping us build our sovereignty and knowing who we are, I know for me, has helped balance out the journey that I've been on. I've been in the mortal journey. There was lots of fears, lots of trepidation, lots of trauma, whatever, and letting go of that story to being in my sovereign covenant space is so liberating. And I want to thank you. Like every Tuesday, it has been like a class to help me integrate and align with my covenant truths of who I am and what God wants me to be. For me, these are just for me. And I can't help anybody else get into their own covenant sovereign space. It's a mental thing that we have to do for ourselves to breathe in and integrate that breath like you do with us. It has been a year of courage, a year of freedom and liberation, a year of enrichment, of learning and education. It's been a year of experience, coming every Tuesday and listening and discerning what I want to take for myself and what parts maybe don't fit with what I'm in or whatever. However, opening up and expanding even to being allowing us to discern from different ideas that you share each week. You have been a catalyst in my life to having my feet really rooted in my sovereign covenant space, where, like I said, I feel confidence, peace, alignment, joy, bliss. Like, and you know where I came from when I first started seeing you, doing these weekly journeys like I have with you, to where I am today. I'm not the same person. Who I
Oh,
am on the
yeah.
inside is
Yeah.
whole and
I witnessed
complete.
that. I witnessed that for you and with you, Toby Lynn.
Yeah.
You've into this godly, queenly, beautiful, sovereign soul. And it's amazing.
And that's because you held the space for me. Thank you. You
Thank
held space for me to do that. You gave me ideas and education and different ideas to go home with and to look at for the next week. Thank you, Janet. You have
you.
been a beautiful blessing in my life. And as Sovereign Covenant Space, I'm excited to see what next week's going to be. Our next year, I mean, what our next year journey is going to be. I think it's going to be amazing. Thank you.
Next year. Thank you, Toby Lynn. And thank you for doing the work. I can't do the work. I can hold space here. I can bring us together and have us share these experiences together. I'm walking this journey right alongside of y'all. I am I am not above or better or I don't know anymore. Um, but I'm grateful to have the opportunity to spend time with you, all of you who show up for yourself every week and come and do the work. I mean, it's a privilege to be with you in the journey. So thank you for that. Yes, next year, I really am feeling guided, I guess, prompted to, now that we're standing in greater levels of sovereignty, I really want to focus on the divine identity of Christ and why that matters, why that is going to be helpful. So I'm excited to talk about that. It's something that matters to me deeply and profoundly. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. But I've had some really amazing, powerful conversations with people who've spent a lifetime studying the divine identity of Christ and also the consciousness of Christ. So the being that we call Yeshua or Jesus came here and embodied a very specific consciousness. And, I've been learning as I've been here in LA, in California, going to these different sacred sites and learning about a lot of other ascended beings who have lived on this earth, who embodied that consciousness, that same consciousness. And I think that that's the next step, at least for me personally. And if you want to join me on that journey, I would love to have you guys be a part of that with me. So
I would love that. That sounds exciting. Thank you for sharing.
I think it's going to be exciting. We have some really profoundly powerful people that I've aligned with who are going to help to teach us in regards to that. So, all right. Anybody else have anything that they would like? Thank you again, Toby Lynn, thank you for being here, for showing up, for being vulnerable, for sharing your hard things that you guys are all willing to share. And I love that. I think it's helping so many people when you share. They listen to your story, they hear what you're going through, and they're having similar experiences too. Let's see, we've got, okay, Katie says,
Anna?
Oh, go ahead, and then I'll read Katie's message in a minute. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, this morning I was taking my children to school and we read chapter 6 in the book of Jacob. And that was on my mind going into our exercise today. And it's fascinating because God says he would set his hand the second time to recover his people. And then he described three things that stand in our way. He said, for my people are stiff-necked and they're gainsaying. And he says, but if they will not harden their hearts, then they'll make it. And so it's like there's these 3 hurdles that we have to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
And being stiff-necked just means people won't look and consider new information. And so when we resolve our fears and we realize who we are, and that basically we can stand in the midst of chaos and we can look at it and take it in and process it. And then the gainsaying part, I didn't know what that word was until not so long ago, but to gainsay something means to deny it. So some people that go ahead and move their head from side to side and take a look at things, a lot of people will deny what they see. It'll just be too much for them, and so then they don't make it through because they deny something that's actually true that they just can't process. And again, it goes back to, it's our fears and our insecurities that has us deny what's true. And then the third hurdle is, it says, that they need to not harden their hearts. So here, when God is attempting to recover his people, we're going to have to go through looking at things in a new way, and it's going to be scary. We're going to want to deny it. And then even those who have the integrity to say, well, yeah, I see this as undeniable, but it's going to make them really upset. And we're going to want to harden our hearts. It's going to be a lot to take in. But anyway, so having had that chapter on my mind, was very, very beneficial to go through this exercise, because it's like you know, you talk about releasing all that tension. That's actually the process of us hardening our hearts is we build up this wall of tension within us and constrict our heart's ability to radiate and shine and to transform whatever we're around and to be that person who helps transform that space that God's going to literally lead us through. He's working with each one of us to help us have that heart that can stay soft, that can work through all this stuff that we need to work through to transform not just ourselves as individuals, but God needs his people to really hold space and stand our ground and anchor in this Zion society where we honor each other's sovereignty. We honor our own sovereignty, and also we honor our eternal sovereignty, and our eternal sovereignty honors us. If we don't come through and have integrity to what our foreordained eternal inheritance is, then it has its agency to withdraw from us. And so we want that union to be like a happy, functioning relationship where there's communication, vulnerability, transparency, working things through, understanding our fears, understanding our sovereign eternal identities. You know, it's cheering us on and giving us courage. We just need to tap into it, and things will come together. And anyway, that's just some of what's been on my mind. And so thank you for creating this space.
Yeah, thank you for your words, your words of wisdom. I really appreciate that. It made me think about how, you know, when you're a sovereign being and you've released all fear, all that's left is love. And when you are standing sovereign in love, bombs could be going off all around you, and you could be in a state of neutrality going, I'm okay. It is what it is, and I'm okay. Regardless of whether or not I'm drowning in a river or I'm being bombed by you know, the enemy. I can, when I'm in a state of love and I've released and softened and opened my heart and let go of fear, I am the most powerful in those moments than at any other moment. And I have the ability to change the world. Even though I'm one, I am one. We are one. It affects everyone. When you choose where your consciousness is going to go, are you going to be riddled with fear and contract into it, or are you going to expand out into love and soften that and open to it? That's what's going to change this world. That's what's going to be the balancing, determining factor. That's how we have a greater life and make a greater impact. It is the way. And it doesn't seem like much to just go into your heart and breathe and soften and be still. But it is the greatest power that you have to make a change for good. Casey, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead.
I'm very random, so I know that this might seem off the, you know, like a little out there, but I wrote down when you specifically said to me, who are you on the other side of healing, when I commented about healing, I then wrote, you had continued on a little bit more. I then wrote, are the end of times equal to the Great Awakening? And I don't know if anyone here stands with me in, I feel like a lot of the world can say that when COVID hit, our minds all changed. A lot of us started awakening. And there was a very solid line drawn through our society. And I think that, you know, we were talking about the sleep ones just kind of following society. Society, to me, are zombies. Like, we are walking around being dictated and living in fear. And that's where I used to live. And then I started, you know, awakening and healing. And the prophet Shiloh, forgive me, I don't know if that's the name that you prefer to go by, but he was just pointing out that Bible verse scripture that they were listening to, and in my brain it just all kind of made sense. And I was feeling like I needed to say that. Are the end of times equal to the Great Awakening? Is that where we are in society? Is the end of time? I don't know. Again, that's weird and a little bit off, but I felt motivated to say that. So
I love that you brought that up. I do believe it's the end of something. I mean, we're always evolving and cycling through beginnings and endings, but but there is really no ending. There's just
Mhm.
cycle, you know.
I could speak to that if you like.
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
So one of the things that I've learned is I've tried to make sense out of all this craziness in the world that's going on is I realized I really don't feel like I understand, at least at the time, all this end time stuff and what is God's kingdom. And so I set out to try to understand. And so I took a whole fresh look at the scriptures. And one of the things that stood out to me is we are in the end times, but a beautiful thing is God calls himself the Alpha and the Omega. And so when we're in the end times, we're also simultaneously in a new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that concretely locked that in for me is when you look at the 7 days of creation, that's like a blueprint for the world that lasts for 7,000 years. And we're already 6,000 years into the old world. And the new world starts, it's like the last day of the old world and the first day of the new world overlap. And so we're actually in a new beginning when there's chaos and darkness and confusion. You know, you read verse 1 in the Bible, it says there's chaos and a void and all this craziness going on. And that's the space we're in right now. The Adam of the new world and the Eve of the new world have transgressed and fallen, and they're out in the wilderness, and they're under the tribulation and buffeting of the adversary, and he's having his way with them for a while. But the bright light that breaks forth on day one that divides everything, that's when Adam and Eve come through all this trial and tribulation and sorrow that they go through. And then this light that breaks forth, Adam and Eve themselves, they get redeemed. They have a bunch of kids who reject it, and therefore, you know, unfortunately, the fall of Adam rolls on into the new world. But Adam and Eve get it, and they get redeemed, and they go through the veil, and they see things in a completely new way, and they enter their stage of being exalted and doing everything to name the creatures, which is symbolic. It's them organizing their new world and our place in it. And we get to be a part of that if we feel called to do that. And so here we are now where we're looking at day one in America, which is the new world. And we have this choice between the light and truth of sovereignty and God's kingdom that makes us kings, sovereigns. He's the King of Kings. And you're right, Janet, that starts within us. If we don't hold on to and honor our sovereignty and honor the sovereignty of our neighbors and honor the sovereignty of organizations, and because they're like group consciousnesses as well. And when the saints wake up and realize, hey, we're getting the raw deal, we're tired of this Luciferian garbage being crammed down our throats, and we stand up and we hold our space and things get set in order, that's when we then enter into that great period of light and are exalted.
Yeah.
And we're looking at that right now, literally.
Yeah, we are. I love that you brought this up, because I've felt this way too, that it's known as throughout all time, it's been known as the great and terrible day. So it's a great day for those who are going to choose to focus on their evolution. It's a terrible day for those who are going to choose to stay asleep and unconscious and not level up and not be sovereign and not develop their spirituality and stand in this Christ consciousness that we talk about. So it will be a great and terrible day, and it's going to happen simultaneously at the same time. Not very long ago, well, it's been unfolding for a few years for me and for so many of you. Some of you guys have reached out to me and said, my life is going down the toilet right now, and I'm swirling around about to go down the drain. And I felt that as well. with a lot of different things. And I was in meditation one day, and the Lord said to me, which story do you really want to focus on? Because you can change your whole experience. If you want to swirl around in the tornado, that's fine. That's a choice. You can focus on those stories that are going around in the tornado, or you can just go into the stillness in the center and let the tornado swirl around you while you're sovereign. But you have to be willing to let go of those stories and focus on something else. And so that was a game changer for me. And I'm willing to walk in the center of the storm. It's so much easier. It's so much better. I want to address this last. We've gone way over on our time, and I apologize for keeping you longer, but this is a great discussion. Katie says, I've been going into my soul a lot this past year. And when my mother passed this last May, I've learned about my soul. I've learned about my soul more than, and how it's important to not be afraid when our time is up, and to know that our soul is a beautiful thing, and that our soul is celestial, and knowing that I myself is still here. Sorry, I don't have my glasses, so this is really hard.
You
I
want me to
myself,
chat for you, Janet?
yeah, will you read it?
Yeah, so let's see. Katie says, I'm sorry, Toby Lynn says, ending our mortal story and returning of our celestial heritage, the truth of who I am is celestial. I am a beloved child of God with a celestial heritage that desires to be acknowledged and accepted. Katie says, I have been going into my soul a lot this year, and when my mother passed this last May, I've learned out soul more than, and how it's important to not be afraid when our time is up, and know that our soul is a beautiful thing, and that our soul is celestial, and knowing that I myself am still here. We are to connect to our soul and do the work just like we did today. Doing this work is more important than anything else. I hope that makes sense. Loretta says, Janet, I've been learning about Christ consciousness and ascended masters. I can't wait. And then I just had said that he connected a whole other dot to dot for me, and that we eat the energy that we feed.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for being on here. Those of you who are watching the replay, feel free to add your comments and your ideas and your thoughts in the comments down below. Come back to this meditation. It was more than a meditation. It was more like an experience of stepping in, but come back to it often. Use it every day. Step into the power of who you really are. Step through your fear. Step into your fear. Don't just lean into your fear, but step into it. Step off the edge of those cliffs, and let's teach ourselves to fly. Let's support one another. Let's be there on the other side for one another as we transmutate this energy of fear into love. I mean, that's our greatest power. We become so powerful when we can transmute that. So again, thank you, everybody. Share, if you feel so inclined to, how your sovereignty journey has been going. What is holding you back? What would you like to maybe visit more about in regards to sovereignty? We don't have very many more classes left in the year 2023. And then we're going to move into Christ consciousness, the ascended masters, the divine identity of Christ and why that matters. And there's lots more. There's going to be so much more. And I can't wait to share with you guys. I hope you have a blessed rest of your day. We'll see you next Tuesday, not Monday. Thank you for being willing to be flexible today. We'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. Have a blessed rest of your week. Mwah. Take care, everybody. Love you. Bye.